Double trouble brewing in the tropics right now in both the Pacific and the Atlantic, with two systems that could impact the United States within the next week to 10 days. Let me show you what we're looking at here. Hilary in the Pacific, could it hold its strength together, would be the first tropical system to hit the California coast since the 1930s. When you look back at our modern technology history, we don't have any examples to compare this to. It's rare, to say the least. A Gulf system looks to form, whether it be weak or a tropical storm. We'll need to watch that, but it looks like whatever it is could impact the United States within a week's time frame, and I do expect many other storms deeper in the Atlantic to form as well. We're going to see a very active pattern, and let's get right to it. Tropical Storm Hilary has winds at 50 miles per hour tonight. It's getting much better organized. You see that intense convection firing up right now along all sides of Hilary. It's moving into an area that's a lot more conducive for development. In fact, the brand new track for the National Hurricane Center has a major Category 3 hurricane by Friday approaching California and Mexico. Thankfully, it begins to weaken as it gets closer to California and Tijuana, likely to a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane. We'll need to watch this closely because whatever it is moves directly towards Southern California. Our spaghetti models, a suite of all of them, shows whatever this is, the wind, the rain, is heading toward areas like Los Angeles and San Francisco, areas that just do not need to see any more rain. Folks, we have burn scars in the high terrain of California from the wildfires that have not recovered yet. So you get tropical moisture that moves in, it's just going to run right off. There's no vegetation to soak that in. That could lead to excessive flooding in some areas. Let me show you how this plays out on future radar. Look at this significant storm by the weekend, a major hurricane moving toward the north. Thankfully, it undergoes some weakening as it approaches Tijuana, parts of California. Look at this. By Los Angeles Sunday, it's going to start raining, and it doesn't let up for about 24 to 36 hours. And again, this is a lot of rain coming down in a short period of time for Southern California. Moves up toward the north. And folks, I just never seen anything like this before. At least a remnant low, strong low, from a tropical system getting very close to California, if not making landfall in California. Thankfully, by Tuesday into Wednesday, it's lifting north and beginning to weaken. The rainfall totals, though, look very significant just offshore. You're talking some significant waves as well off the California coast. As this gets closer from Los Angeles northbound, we're talking 4+ inches of rain in a matter of about 36 hours. And as we know, that can cause flooding. Wind, whether this thing is a hurricane or not, it is going to pack a strong wind field. It gets close to Mexico by Sunday, into California by Monday. And again, the core of this may begin to weaken, but it's still packing a punch with some strong winds extending well outside of that core. We're also watching the tropics. I've been highlighting this area in the Gulf and the Caribbean for about 5 days now, and sure enough, the National Hurricane Center also indicating, hey, we've got a low-end risk for a tropical development here over the next 7 days. And 2 other areas we need to watch out for in the Atlantic, deeper out. Both of those are combating a tremendous amount of dry air here in the Atlantic. However, there are a couple of waves here that are moving into that dry air, basically acting like little renegades out ahead of other waves, and they're basically eroding away at this dry air. This wave right here doesn't stand a chance at really forming because it's doing its job here and taking away that dry air. So the other waves back toward the Cape Verde Islands and coming off the coast of Africa over the next week will need to be watched closely because this one's carving the path for it. All right, let me show you. We now have Tropical Invest 98L. It's near the Cape Verde Islands. It does look like, based on its current area, that it's going to stay out to sea and away from the United States. We've got one model now that it's becoming an invest that's actually running on the spaghettis, and it shows it moving east to Bermuda. But again, we need to watch this wave entering the Gulf. Let me show you what that looks like Saturday into Sunday. We've got a big slug of moisture, very disorganized, into early next week. So there's nothing that's imminent or direct, and the models aren't really keen on developing this into a very strong system. Tropical storm maybe, though. From New Orleans to Texas into Mexico, we need to watch this closely Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for at least some very heavy rainfall, but maybe even a more organized tropical system as it moves inland and gets closer to Texas. Dallas to Houston could see significant rain. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for Texas. They need rain. They're in a significant drought. However, you don't want to go from a significant drought to a lot of rain in a short period of time. That can lead to flooding. Let me show you the winds in this. Again, not very impressive, so we're not looking at this thing turning into a big monster, but we need to watch it closely. Notice how tropical storm force winds do begin to crop up here on Tuesday, and again, this could turn into a named tropical system impacting Louisiana, Texas state lines beginning Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, doesn't look to blow up into a big system, but it does have a pretty strong wind core moving inland of Texas and possibly into Oklahoma. Now, rainfall totals, again, we could use some rain in Texas, and it looks to stay well west of the Carolinas, but you go from an extreme drought to too much rain in a short period of time, that could lead to trouble. We need to watch this area of the Gulf and the Caribbean very closely. I've been highlighting this for a couple of weeks now. The heat energy here doesn't assume what's happening up above us. If there's a tremendous amount of wind shear, it's not going to form into anything, but should a wave get into this area with ideal conditions above, watch out. It's like an open can of gasoline just sitting there, and the models do show some concerning waves that we need to watch out for. I'll show you both the GFS and the European here. What you're looking at is spin in the atmosphere. Going into August 19th, this will be this weekend, there's probably 2 named storms in the Atlantic with our wave right here entering the Gulf. Notice this wave, as I advance out the map here, does get stronger, does start to tighten up, and we could have a low-end tropical storm out of this going into Tuesday of next week, impacting Louisiana or Texas. Does not look to impact the Carolinas at this point, but hey, look at this. 2 other waves out here to watch. Let's advance this even deeper into next week. Let's get us to next Thursday. About 8 days from now, we've got a couple of waves here and 2 other ones. This is additional waves moving in next Thursday, Friday. A couple more out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves that we need to watch in the Atlantic going into the Gulf. And again, I'll pause it here. Next Saturday, this will be the 26th. You've got a wave right here in the Gulf. You've got a wave just off the southeast coast, and you've got a bigger one out here. And another one starting to set up shop here off the coast of Africa. Let's look at the GFS model. This is the American model. It not too keen with what's going on right now with the dry air over the open Atlantic, but here's our wave. It keeps that pretty weak moving west. But look what happens by next Tuesday, Wednesday. It's got a deeper wave moving into the Gulf, where this would likely be a tropical storm or a hurricane, showing up on the American model next Thursday. And then you've got a couple of other waves to watch back here toward the deeper Atlantic. And look at this. This gets us to next Saturday. The GFS model also hinting at a very strong wave, if not a tropical system, forming here in the Caribbean, in that area I warned you about earlier that has the tremendous heat content moving west over the Yucatan Peninsula. Again, simply put, we need to watch this pattern closely. There's nothing imminent looking to impact the United States, but there's a pattern in place. And my philosophy with hurricane season, any kind of severe weather, is to be transparent in my forecasting to let you know what's coming toward the United States with some transparency. I'm going to shoot you straight. If you need to be concerned, I'll let you know it's time to be concerned. If you don't, I'm going to tell you that. And right now, there's nothing to be too concerned about. We do need to watch California. We do need to watch Texas. And then deeper out in the future, next week, a week from now, there may be some concerns that we need to look out for close to the southeast. So if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would appreciate it if you would give me a follow here, as I will keep you up to date throughout hurricane season and with all severe weather.